Hey everybody, welcome back. Three old friends, music never ends. Mike, Dave, we're here back. Number 57. We're on our alphabet list, so to speak. I don't know if we have an official name for it, but I'm going to call it alphabet list. And we did A through E, the first playlist, and the bands that start with the thing, not individuals, the bands that start with the name. And we made it through E, and now we're at F through what? F G H I J.
Day.
Because I remember Jackson. That's how I remember. Because Jackson 5 is the last song. And we'll get to that. Which goes to show you, we go from Five Finger Death Punch to the Jackson 5. So that pretty much tells you that this playlist was probably a little different, a little more eclectic than we have it, but we expected that because, of course, the different bands, the different names. But as always, I always think that we make some connections there that really help the playlist go along. And with this playlist, it had to grow on you because it really is a different collection of a lot of different songs, a lot of different groups. But nevertheless, enjoy them. And as you listen to it more, I think it gets better as I listen to it. In fact, I listened to it this morning. I didn't walk, but I did listen to it. And I started out, I was first, so with F, so I went with Five Finger Death Punch, which of course some may or may not have heard of Five Finger Death Punch. It actually comes from the movie Kill Bill, if you've ever seen that, Quentin Tarantino. Anyway, there's a scene in there where he's supposed to kill the guy at the end. Anyway, they named the group is named that. So anyway, I'd heard of them before, I know, because they're kind of more metal, more hard rock, more heavy metal. But you always find those songs in these things and this one. And I, for some reason, I became a little obsessed with this song, a little bit off. And maybe it's because when you wake up in the morning, sometimes you do feel a little bit off, and you're like, man, I do feel a little bit off. And this song just happened to catch me at that moment. So I thought, this is a really good song. I like to explore the different groups. I don't know if we'll be delving into the catalog of Five Finger Death Punch anytime soon, but I thought it was a good way to, and I really like the lyrics and I really like the song. And I like how it kind of, you can see him devolving mentally throughout the song. And I thought that was a clever way. Also, the way, a little bit off, and then they would distort even that as a little kind of thing, like, oh yeah, that's pretty clever. So anyway, just thought it was a great song. Yeah, I'm patting myself on the back. I know.
Well, before I get into the analysis of a little bit off, just generally about the playlist, as echoing some of that, I really like what we're doing with the ABCs because it's getting us a little bit out of our comfort zone and looking at bands maybe we haven't played before or whatever. Now, in some cases that's newer and fresher. In some cases it's just old bands that we just haven't got around to putting on either. So some of the ones I have are, I'm like, okay, well, I haven't had one of those yet, so let's go ahead. I can't say all mine are new and fresh. I still go back to my oldies roots and the things that the music I like and that kind of thing. But again, we're still being able to explore some different music, and it makes for a different type of playlist, I guess. I listened to this one several times. I like it. It's growing on me. There are several songs on it that surprised me a little bit, and I'm like, man, I really like that song. And that's the beauty of it. That's why we do it. And Five Finger Death Punch, I knew the name. I didn't really know the music, and so this was a cool song, I thought, especially to lead off the playlist. And I can't say much more about it other than I thought it was a good way to start off. Like Jose said, sometimes you're just off a little bit that day, and I think we all feel that sometimes. I thought when I looked up with Five Finger Death, but more of a metal and heavy and that kind of thing. But this song isn't that. This song is more mid-tempo, and it's just it's just a cool song. It's not thrash metal or something like that. So sometimes when we hear the name, we're thinking, uh-oh, what's this going to be? But it fits our wheelhouse pretty well already. So it was a good choice to start it off.
Yeah, well, first again about the playlist, I agree. It's eclectic. It's not all smooth flowing. Neither was the last one. But I think that's kind of I've been expecting that'll be the case with these alphabet ones because on some letters it's hard to find a band you really like the song, and it's definitely can be difficult to find something that flows really well. I tried on here when I could, but there's some places I think maybe not so much. As far as Five Finger Death Punch, yeah, I had heard of them too. I don't know. It almost seems familiar, this song, but I don't recall specifically hearing it. I know the
Well,
name.
I think all these heavy groups always have these one songs that are kind of like this. You know, I found myself going back to that when I'm thinking all these heavy metal groups always have like these one songs or two songs. Even the newer ones, the newer groups have always this song that's like, oh, that's definitely they tried. I wouldn't say necessarily a ballad, but something that's kind of, you know. And I think a lot of grunge groups did that in the '90s as well. You know, they'd have these hardcore songs, but then they'd have these, you know, songs like this. You know?
Well, I mean, even old school metal, they always had a
Right.
ballad in there somewhere. I remember in high school telling my friends, "Oh, I like this song by Black Sabbath." Something like they wrote that for the girls. I'm like, oh yeah, up yours.
Well, earlier we put Beth on by Kiss. That's not really Kiss, you know. That's just
Right, right. Good point. Good point.
I don't subscribe to that opinion anyway. But I like Beth, but I'll, anyway. Yeah, and so I mean, when you said the name for the song, I don't know why I was thinking something like really hardcore, like punk, or I don't know what it was, the name. But yeah, I've been there. This just a little bit off. I was thinking about this the other day. I used to say something along the lines of, because I've definitely felt this. Like, well, an example is like if you're watching a streaming video and the audio and the video is out of sync, it's like it really throws you off. And I have felt like that in a day. From the moment I wake up, it's like if I'd just been a couple of seconds ahead of where I am, I wouldn't have tripped over that curb. I wouldn't have, forgotten my lunch at home, and whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
I can
I don't
relate.
want to belabor the song point too much, because I again I do like it a lot. But I go back to first he's just a little off. Well, now he wants to tell someone that they doesn't love him. Now he wants to do this. So it's like this the evolution of him going like, oh, it was this. Oh, I'm a little bit off. Oh, now I'm pissed off. You know. And the only criticism I have on the song, I don't think he needed that last little. I sound like a little elitist here. The last little denouement. I don't need to tell us to f off. We knew. But if the song would have ended right after that last 30 seconds, I think it would have probably been even better. But he does tell us to F off, so
Yeah, he
right.
does. He kind of he ends right on that. It surprises me when it comes up. Yeah, not that I object, whatever. But yeah, so I went. So I had a bunch of different band names that begin with F, and it was like the one I picked. I thought, okay, well, that's a dark song. I thought I'll try to kind of follow it with something similar. In no way is it the same type of music. So I picked Fleetwood Mac. All right, try to think of Fleetwood Mac after what we just described. But they did have the first album with Buckingham and Nicks, had a bunch of well-known songs, and I could put any number of Fleetwood Mac songs that everybody like, but we've heard them so many times. It's like I need to do something. I don't know. I want to kind of explore new ground, old ground for them, new ground for some of us maybe. But it's called "I'm So Afraid," right? It's just heavy kind of, Lindsey Buckingham. The one thing I didn't really notice I remember from back in the day, because we had that album in the house when I was a kid. Before it was the one right before Rumors, but it's almost like could be almost part of Rumors. It's very similar stuff. Um, but it's just an interesting dark song, and Lindsay's kind of quirky on a lot of stuff, and so it worked for me. Um, one thing I didn't notice back in the day, because I didn't have really this frame of reference, but the guitar on there sounds a lot like something you might hear like in a more ballady metal song. It's like that double guitar sound. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you guys disagree, or if you agree, you'd have a better description. But it doesn't sound like anything they do on any of their other songs. So, but he was just new in the band, so he was probably figuring out what he's doing.
Now, first of all, again, it was going to be a jolt from anyone. Maybe if you would have done like the Foo Fighters, it would have come close to it. But I'm glad you just didn't want to stick with the oh, I have to find a song that hey, find a song that you like. And I initially you do get that initial like, oh, we're on to Fleetwood Mac from someone just told me to f off to Fleetwood Mac, which is okay once you understand and get into the song. And I agree. I enjoyed the song a lot. Once you accept the jolt, you're like, okay, I'm into the song and I get it. And it is a bridge to Rumors. You can tell they still have the edge of the old the old Fleetwood Mac. That used to be a lot harder edge. And then, oh wait, we're coming into this portion of Fleetwood Mac where they're ready to really, rumors. So yeah, so I thought it was a great song, and like I said, sometimes we put ourselves in those positions where you find a song and you're like, what do I play after that? There's just nothing that. But like I said, I'm glad you stuck to Fleetwood Mac, and I like the early stuff. So
If you were to look at this on paper, Five Finger Death Punch to Fleetwood Mac, it would make no sense at all.
right,
At least hearing it's a little bit. They're both dark things, I guess.
and
But,
that acoustic guitar playing.
yeah.
Well, I love Fleetwood Mac, and I think this is the second time you've played some earlier Fleetwood Mac as well. So that's cool because I'm not really familiar. I think from Rumors on, started listening and whatnot. So again, it was a good song, and it you think a little bit off, and I'm so afraid. And there were a lot of some other F bands too. I thought about the Foo Fighters, thought about some other Foghat and some of these other ones. And I thought, we've never done any Foreigner. And so it was kind of interesting. I didn't think about it until just as you were talking about how the Fleetwood Mac was, the predecessor to Rumors. Well, with Foreigner, this song I picked, Blue Morning, Blue Day, was one of the earlier ones before they started really hitting it big as well. So it's kind of in that same thing. It's an early Foreigner more than when they were more popular later on. And I will say, spoiler alert for later in our playlist. Had I known that you guys were going to go back to back with a song with the word hero in it, my first choice was going to be Jukebox Hero by Foreigner, and I really was going to play that one. And at the last minute, I pivoted to Blue Morning, Blue Day. I love the hardness of the Jukebox Hero. It was big in my late junior year high school days. But the Blue Morning, Blue Day is I think it's just a cool Foreigner song, and it kind of goes in with that. It's a little bit off. I'm so afraid. Blue Morning, I got breaking up, and all this kind of stuff. So I thought it went better with those first two songs. And again, it's one you don't hear as much, but when you hear it, oh yeah, that's that Foreigner song.
Yeah, so I think I may disagree with others' opinions of Foreigner. I'm kind of like, I like them early on, and I kind of started losing interest later on. But I think that's just when I got into them. I know tons of people like that stuff. There was a reason, that stuff was big on the radio. But this album, and I think this is their second album, maybe, or first album. Maybe this is the first, and then
Double
I had
Vision.
bought. Say what?
Yeah, the Double Vision album or the.
Yeah. And then I bought Head Games. I was into that, and I saw them at a Texas Jam around this time period. So, but yeah, this album I love, and this song in particular, I love even more. It's I like the arrangement, and just something about it. It's not just a simple. It kind of goes in kind of little askew directions, and
It's the Partridge Family.
what do you mean?
You're comparing them
Listen
to
to that
the
song.
Family?
Good morning, Blue Day. You throw Partridge Family. If they sang that song, you would say, "Oh, that's a Partridge Family song." Oh yeah. Listen to the chord progression of "Good Morning," and then listen to
Sunshine Day.
I Think I Love You.
There's another Partridge Family
Is that
song.
the Brady Bunch or the Partridge Family? I don't know.
Anyway, I'll get to them. Go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. That's all. That's all.
Stick
I'd say.
with me,
There's other
Mike.
songs in there I like, but it was a good choice.
Yeah, Foreigner, and I agree with you, Mike, and I think it was a lot of people. When Foreigner first came out, they were this hard, heavy, dirty white boy, cold as ice, and so you're like, oh, these guys are they heavy rockers? And then they'd have a song like this, and you're like, are they heavy rockers or are they not? And then as they got to four, right, then when
I've
they
been waiting for
I
it.
don't know what love, yeah, and then then that's when it's like, okay, Foreigner's this, I'm not listening to that. So it was kind of a dividing point of like, okay, Foreigners going this, and it kind of led to the division of that group in a lot of ways, some of the singer leaving, McDonald. So I know it's not the Partridge Family. I'm just giving y'all a hard time. But if you listen to if I find the Partridge Family, I'll send it to you. But anyway, that's I only want to make the point that Foreigner always had a hard edge to it. Jukebox Hero has a hard edge to it, but they also had this like sunny disposition as well, And so it was this kind of like, wow, this balance of which way are they going to go? So, and I think we know which way they went. So, does anyone here own Foreigner 4?
I think I got in a car accident when that song was playing that day, the double accident day. I think that I was cranking for that day.
Did you go to the concert or was that Mike McCord?
I don't think I went to Foreigner.
I think Mike McCord went to Foreigner. I remember him telling me that like it was either him or someone else walking in and they're like, Jukebox Hero played, and it was like the moment of their concert life. So anyway, the little things you remember. I think it was Mike McCord went. So anyway, yeah, Foreigner. Nah, I love Foreigner, and the first couple albums I really love. So it's a good choice. I'm not trying to cause problems, disparage the Partridge Family reference. I'm just giving a hard time, but it has that soft edge to it that always reminds me for some reason of Partridge Family, and it really shouldn't, but it does. So I went again a little more new, and they're really not that new if you really look at it. But I went with Greta Van Fleet, You're the One. And as you can tell, and they've been accused of this, so they've been around for quite a while. I think I first heard of them about 10 years ago. Someone played them and like, oh, listen to this. And immediately their first reference was, they sound a lot like Led Zeppelin. And this song his voice obviously has a little Robert Plant to it. But it's one of those 70s soundish kind of Black Crowes kind of sound. And I think it's a great song. It's tried and true tradition that, you can go with these songs and, throw them out there and it works and it has that 70s feel to it. So it's one of the reasons I put it on, just something a little different.
I like this song, and I didn't know Greta Van Fleet that much. I knew of them, and like Jose said, I knew what they sound. I think my daughter played me a couple tracks a few years back, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they sound pretty cool, but I never delved into them. And I think I'm going to steal Mike's statement right here too, because he said it before when you first start hearing the song, it sounds like Knocking on Heaven's Door by Guns N' Roses or something, because it has the same chord progression, right? So like after Mike had said that, when I listened to this a couple times, at the instrumental at the beginning, I start doing that, Ma, take this badge off of me. I can't use it anymore. Because it has the same chord progression. But then once the song actually starts, it doesn't. So if you can compare Foreigner to Partridge Family, then I can compare Greta Van Fleet to Guns N' Roses, I guess.
I don't think they'd mind that.
No, that's fine. But no, it's a cool track. In fact, it's probably one of the top 2 or 3 songs on this playlist that I keep going back to and going, man, I really like that song. So yeah, good choice.
Yeah, it's they're kind of new to me. Somebody once sent me a link to a video of theirs, and I really wish I could remember what the song was, and because I wanted to look it up, because my initial impression, it was a pretty heavy song. But my initial impression looking at it and watching the video is like, man, these guys kind of sort of sound a little prog, but they kind of look a little what do you call it, glam, like glam rock. And so I'm like, this is interesting. I wish I'd looked it up. I'd tell you the name of it, but I'll put it in the comments or something. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I do hear I don't know that I would have thought of it, but you said something when you were putting it together, when you added the song about Zeppelin, and I can definitely hear that. So I know they're really highly regarded, and I definitely want to learn more about them. And
Yeah.
there's no Greta in the band, correct?
I don't think so. Mr. Van Fleet? I don't think so.
What about Fred Van Vliet?
Red-
He got injured. That's bad, sorry. Yeah, nothing related to Fred Van Vliet.
Oh my God, you're brutal.
So, talk about contrast. I went from that into Genesis. And again, on paper, it's no whatever. It's just it's a lot different. The song is Squonk. And again, I was still kind of going with the heavy thing. And if you talk about a heavy-ish song for Genesis, it's kind of that plodding, all minor key with a story about this. My best guess from what I looked up to is this mythical creature that just weeps all the time, and somebody tries to take it home, puts it in a sack, and then it somehow escapes and leaves only its tears. I'm sure there's much more to it than that, but I've always liked this song. It's off Trick of the Tail, which is that one and Wind and Wuthering were kind of transitional from when I first listened to Genesis. It was like the newer Phil Collins stuff, not the new whatever, the later stuff. But that was definitely more poppy, almost more solo Phil Collins. But this was kind of, you could still see the connection to Genesis. And I think Steve Hackett was still on this one, right?
That's right.
So is everybody but Peter Gabriel.
That's right.
And hearing this, I can definitely hear roots in the old Genesis. And it even something in the lyrics reminded me of Colony of Slippermen a little bit. I think just describing that creature. But there's not much more to say about it. I don't think I put any Genesis on yet, which is considering how much
No,
I
you
used to.
White
Say what?
Mountain. White
Scream.
Mountain.
Oh, I did.
in the
That's right.
cage,
What?
But then,
in the cage, the scream.
Oh,
I put that on.
that was.
oh,
yeah.
that was on the Run
But we
DMC.
also had, Jose, you put a couple on, and then Dave, you did this girl singing one
Ripple.
of their songs, Ripples or whatever.
Annie Haslam.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know why, I just thought it fit in there.
Huh? Squonk. I've never heard this. I'm just kidding. I've heard this song 1,000 times. I'll go into a little Genesis corner. Mike is right. It was leftover stuff from they finished Lamb Lies. They were kind of gone. Tony Banks had a bunch of stuff that he had left over, and they're thinking, well, Peter Gabriel, we'll just include it. And of course, he leaves the band. So then, of course, they look for their lead singer, and they find, and Phil Collins takes it. And I think one of the reasons is you can tell that Phil Collins has puts his own distinct voice to it. Because if you thought, well, if Peter Gabriel sang Squonk, that wouldn't sound like it does there. I mean, there would be elements of it, but I just can't see it ever sounding like the way Phil Collins sings it. And for him to also do that and then put his own touch on, like, the classics, like I Know What It's Like, people used to complain about is stick a bat, he always used to throw in this extra little thing. But I think that was a key in distinguishing himself from Peter Gabriel that got him the job. Not to mention that he's a great vocalist and he knows how to play to the crowd. So anyway, long story short, Squonk, great song, one of my favorites. I don't like on the live version, if you ever hear the live version, he always whistles after going home late last, and then he does a little whistle there. If you know live Squonk, you know that that's part of the song. So other than that, I love it.
I meant to mention, sorry, Dave, meant to mention, I think at some point they would do different medleys within the Phil Collins years. and they would stick parts of like In the Cage and
They
Cinema
did.
Show or Afterglow, these different things. And I think part of this worked into one of those I heard back in the day. Maybe when I saw them, I don't know. Anyway,
It might have been
that's,
the 82 or the 86, yeah, where they'd integrate Squonk and a couple other songs from Trick of the Tail.
well, that was a tourist song. So
Yeah, it's great. It's a great album.
Well, when we got to G, I said to myself, um, maybe Mike won't choose Genesis, and maybe Jose won't pick Grateful Dead. So I'll pick a couple of songs from each of those groups and surprise them because I know how much they like those two bands. But then Mike did go with the Genesis, and so I had a couple of good ones picked out for that. We'll save that for another playlist. But I did spare you the Garfield, which I could another one of those. Just saying. I was thinking about it. Georgia Satellites, nah, I wanted to have that one, or the Guess Who, that was another one I thought of. But
Oh,
at this point, I was kind of down to Grateful Dead, and I had a couple of choices, a couple of songs, a short one and a very long one, and they were both my favorite. I was thinking Uncle John's Band was the next one I was going to put on, and then I said or Terrapin Station, and it's probably one of my favorite Grateful Dead songs, even though it's 16 minutes long, I think, or something like that. But I asked both of them. They said, "Okay, we'll let you break a little bit from this and go long." And so I put Terrapin Station on, and I'm glad I did because this week when I listened to the playlist a couple times, I reminded myself how much I love the song. And at first I started thinking as I listened to it, the first 6-7 minutes, 8 minutes, where there's more of the lyrical part and the verses and all that kind of stuff. And then I always think, oh, do I really like the back end where it just keeps doing the same thing over and over? But I do. I like that part of it too, and the chorus, all the stuff that goes on with it. And so I caught myself. I was gonna fast forward once or twice, and I went, no, I'm not. I want to listen to the whole song, and I listened to it all the way through each time, and it's just a masterpiece for me. And I know. Anyway, enough said.
I mean, what can I say about Terrapin Station? I mean, we've probably had conversations about it before many times, but I remember first time I heard it, I had no idea it was the Grateful Dead. It was back, I probably brought these up before. They'd have like Sunday night or Friday night or whatever, your local album rock station would play. It was like the Friday night 6-pack or whatever. They play albums back to back, the whole album. And I remember the first time I heard it because they were playing this album, and I think I came in kind of in the middle of the song, and I'm like, this is really interesting. I just sat there and listened to it. So I was in the middle, so it wasn't all 16 minutes or whatever. But excuse me. But yeah, it's like, to me, it sounds so different from other stuff I think of as the Dead. And I don't know what else to add. I love the song.
I do too. It's funny that both y'all picked my G, Genesis, and Grateful Dead, which are obviously two of my top five. So, and so I get to talk about them, which is even better. And full disclosure, I cheated a little. I will play there's a 77 version that I really like of Terrapin that I played because, like you said, Dave, you used the right word. It's a masterpiece, and no one saw this coming. From the dead. I guess of all the songs they've written something, but nothing like this. And it was just, oh my God, this is a magnus opus for us, for Deadheads. They're just like, oh. And so when they played it, and if you wanted 222-77, first time they ever played it in concerts, people know that stupid shit. Yeah, it's just such a fantastic, like Dave says, the lyrics in it, inspiration moves me bright. I mean, come on, you know, you know, from the northwest corner of a brand new crescent moon. Just all these little lyrics in there, just so fantastic that you're just like, and then of course the build up. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. I just want to add something before you're done.
Yeah, and the whole build up, I can't figure out if it's who doesn't sing along with Terrapin and the whistle is screaming. that whole thing is just, if you were at a show and you got that, there's just no way you were not a Dead fan if you didn't get emotional about that song. So anyway, yeah, it's one of my favorites, obviously. Let's just face it, no one ever went to a Dead show and said, I hope they don't play Terrapin tonight. That just never happened. So I went on, and of course, a little different, and I'll throw a little caveat in here. If you ever, there's actually a connection between Hole, I know, and the Grateful Dead. I bet y'all didn't know this. That Courtney Love is actually on a Grateful Dead album. Yeah, there's a picture of her because her dad was part of the scene there. Hank Harrison, he wrote that book about the Dead, and Anna Anamoxia, she's pictured as a little girl in the picture on the back. So anyway, means nothing. It's not why I picked it. I just picked it because, sometimes, again, I went with Five Finger, with Greta. I'm not going with the usual, so I'm going with Hole. And I would have to say full credit is Rosemary pretty much had this album. When we listened to it, you listen to it, and you're just like, that is a good album. As much as you might despise Courtney Love or not like her or think whatever you think about her, she put out a collection of what that album is as a collection of great songs. And I even thought that song was really good. The angst in it, you can tell, the emotion. I mean, you actually, it really is a touching song. So it's one of the reasons why I put it. It was I always enjoyed that song. I always enjoyed that album. So
Yeah, let's try, but here, vamp a little more. I'm trying to find the name of that album.
Oh,
Okay, here it is.
Doll Parts. I forgot to
yeah.
call it Doll Parts.
I had the CD of this, and I remember, mid-90s. I think they recorded it before.
Are you next?
Aren't
I'm
I think
next, but I want
I?
Mike
Oh,
to
go ahead,
back
go
in.
ahead.
Sorry.
Before we do that, hey, we're jumping all right. Mike was going to say something else about Terrapin, though.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah, well,
Yeah, go back to that.
I've thrown us all off, haven't I? Oh, no, the only thing I was gonna say about it has to do with you, Jose. I don't remember the circumstance. For some reason, I was thinking at a photo caption, but it might have been in a sports story. At some point at the Richland Chronicle, you wanted to use the word terrapin in something, and I forget what it was. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. And that was before I'd ever heard that song.
That was probably stupid of me, though. I almost got fired for doing something similar. I'll tell you the story one day. Fishing report, Grateful Dead, it's all a blur.
So you got Doll Parts, Hole, Courtney Love, not knowing anything about that, and then not to steal the next song, but the next two, Hole and Haim, I don't know, you guys must have been in a groove or something because you went, okay, we're gonna go girl band kind of thing, both of which I was not familiar with. But I liked this part of the playlist coming out of Terrapin Station, and yeah, both songs are really good. I'm not talk about both of them, but just having that girl vibe on both of them. I'm not familiar with either of the bands, Hole or Haim, but had again, we're just picking groups and songs, and so it kind of got a little clunky there. But in retrospective, I probably should have put on like a Heart or something, right after.
Oh, right. I didn't even think
girl
about that.
thing, right? And
Yeah.
it wasn't until after I listened to this a couple times that I went, boy, I kind of blew it with the Highwayman, or whatever. I mean, it's
You
good.
went with the old white
We'll
guys.
get to that. What?
You went with old white guys. We
I
went
know.
with
I went back to my tried and true, but I could have. Well, I don't know that I had a girl band that was H other than Heart, but I probably could have done Dog and Butterfly or something like that, or Barracuda or whatever. Anyway, I liked both songs. I'll probably comment on both of them, but yeah, Doll Parts. Again, both songs were very interesting, and I liked it because it was in the middle of the playlist and kind of broke things up.
Yeah, if you had asked me early 90s if I would ever listen to Hole, I mean, just the name, it's like, really. But then I don't know. I think I heard one of the first song on the record, not this one. There are two that I really like. This one and the first song. It's called Violet. And those are I think I heard one of those two on the radio. I'm like, okay, I got to check this out. And if I'm correct, I may correct me if I'm wrong, but they recorded it. It was like around the same time Nirvana was doing In Utero, which is the last album. I don't think they'd even started touring yet before Kurt Cobain killed himself, or maybe they had, but they overlapped. I mean, you could hear like Live Through This. You might think, she had just lost. I don't. I think they recorded this before he killed himself, but it may have come out after. I don't know. Anyway, it's a great record. I got it in I think 95 after it had been out a little while, and it was just like, oh my god, I played it all the time, the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, she can be obnoxious. She's not. She's also not the worst actress. I don't know if she's done anything in a while, but she's pretty good, I thought, in The People versus Larry Flint.
Oh, yeah, she's a good one.
But yeah, it's a great record. I do know that people do have, like, especially Nirvana fans, have really strong negative feelings about her. There's all kinds of conspiracy stuff. And I did try to play this when I worked back in the kitchen with a bunch of people who like Nirvana, and got serious grief over it. So it's like, whatever. Good
Yeah.
choice.
Right, they said that she took a lot of the lyrics from Kurt Cobain and stole some stuff. Anyway, what do I
Well,
think? I mean,
supposedly, I had scanned through Wikipedia earlier. Supposedly, he sings backing vocals somewhere on here,
yeah,
but I don't think he was credited.
no,
He just
I've heard
happened to
that.
show up in the studio. In fact, I think the studio time for this was originally supposed to be rehearsal time for In Utero. So, but I don't know. I'm still not all that. Who cares? So I went to something completely different, but female. And I was thinking, okay, sort of more upbeat, uplifting, but nah, not really. If you listen to the lyrics, it's a band, and I'm so new to them. I don't even know if I'm going to say if they're Haim or Heim, or I think it's Haim. It's three sisters, and
That's what
they're
they look
apparently.
like right there.
Which one is it?
These three.
Oh, okay, okay.
So they're apparently quite the thing, or have been for a little while. They just played the Irwin Center. They had a big thing up on the marquee, or maybe they haven't yet, but they're about to. And I hadn't really thought of them. I had other H bands, but I do try to do newer stuff, kind of stick my neck out a little bit or whatever. And so a friend of mine had mentioned he really liked them, and from way back in the day. And I said, "What songs you like?" And he mentioned this one and a couple others. And I listened to it, and I'm like, "Hey, this isn't for me. This isn't half bad. It has a reggae beat, kind of, and the arrangements, humor in the lyrics, like." It's about she lives in New York. I'm sorry, she lives in Los Angeles. She feels trapped there, but so she goes to New York, and that's the line. It's like, I lived through the winter there once. Nope. She's
Nope.
that's
Yeah, I like that.
that cracks me up every time. So she's like, Los Angeles, whatever, but it's my home. And then they go, like, in the middle of the song, it goes to kind of whole different kind of not a whole, but a different arrangement, which I really like. So, I can see how people might not like them, but I want to check them out more. The more I listen to it, the more I like it.
Yeah. Thought it was interesting. It's a great follow up to Get in the Hole. A great follow up. But yeah, like you said, clever little lyrics. I've never heard of Haim before, so I guess I'm gonna have to check them out. But I guess that's why we do this, is to listen to the new songs, and I thought it fit right in well with them. I didn't realize it was Whole Time Highwayman. Actually, I'm just learning that now. So, sounds like some bad law firm or something like that. But yeah, overall, just a great little song. Like I said, it's smart, and it makes you pay attention to the lyrics because she's telling a little story, and you want to catch the little nuances of it. So I thought it was a great song.
Well, I'm probably gonna. Yeah, I liked it too. Like I already said, and there's maybe when we get to a later playlist, there's a group of sisters that do a cappella and different things like that called the Roaches, and I really like that sound. And this reminded me of that kind of thing because of their sisterly blend and everything. So I was digging on it. I liked it. Like I said, other than the fact that I probably could have gone with a Heart or something like that. Um, again at this point, I mean, there were other H's that I had considered. Um, I was going to put a song by the Hollies on. I was going to put Long Cold Woman in a Black Dress. Is that what? Yeah.
Thanks, long cool woman in a red dress.
Long tall
Long
woman.
tall. Yeah.
She's not tall. Yeah, long tall woman in a black dress. I thought I was going to do it, but then it didn't seem like it was going to flow. And then I started thinking, okay, we all like the Willie Nelson and that kind of thing, and Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, Johnny Cash, and Waylon Jennings being in the band they put together called the Highwaymen, and sadly now we're down to one of those members being alive with just Willie Nelson. At some point, he's going to pass probably soon too. But again, it fit the ABCD thing here. It was Highwayman is the name of the band, but also their signature song called Highwayman. And I always love this song because each one of them sings a verse, and now when I think of Chris Christopherson, I think of him being a sailor, and being on the thing, or Johnny Cash in a jet pilot, or Willie Nelson on a coach road, on a coach road he did ride, and I don't know. I just always loved this song. It's got great lyrics and reminds me of them. Whenever I listen to it, I think, yeah, they're gone, but their memory and their music is going to live on again and again and again. They say, like in the song, and I thought it was a kind of a touching tribute to those great artists.
Yeah, who doesn't remember this from back in the day? I still remember the video, and I probably haven't seen it in 20 years or so. At the Waylon Jennings part, he's building a dam, I guess, and it's just him falling into the vast whatever.
The
Am I
wet
right?
top below.
Was it in black and white?
Bury me in that great tune that knows no sound.
For some
that
reason,
right?
I remember
Spin
seeing like a
around.
blue filter, but it might have been black and white or.
Blue filter. Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, it was. But it was. I know. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, him falling down in. So, you have rock and roll super groups, and a lot of times it doesn't work out. All those egos and the talent just isn't really. It doesn't mesh. And I thought that I would have thought that would be. I mean, I'm thinking this at the time, but that might be a risk here, because these guys are so each in their own right is a country music giant, and but they fit it well. And I think one reason they do it is they each have. I haven't heard any of the other songs on the record. There's a whole record of it. They might have even had two. I don't know, but they each have like their little chunk. And I didn't pay attention to this back in the day, but there's like no chorus. It's just you do your chunk, you do yours, Yeah, back in the day it was, and I haven't heard it in a while, but it's a great song. And each one has their own little distinct part to it, it sounds like a Johnny Cash thing, or Willie or whatever.
Well, first, let me say, you guys were on here the last podcast, like, oh my God, Willie Nelson, he's now, maybe not, and then I see him on Farm Aid just kicking ass. So I don't know where you guys think that he's.
How old is he? He's got to be 93 or something.
I think he's 93, but he was out. I watched Farm Aid. I DVR'd it to watch it because I heard Neil Young and of course Bob Dylan was on, and they're like Willie Nelson. I'm like, they were saying he was. He comes out and looks as good as ever. He's singing songs. I was like, Jesus, this guy's never gonna die. So I found that funny because of course when you listen to the playlist and Willie's part comes on and I'm watching Farm Aid thinking, dude ain't going nowhere. This guy's he's just a mainstay. So found it kind of amusing because I was listening to the playlist and then I get to see him perform. But he looks great. And I remember this was a big deal, obviously, when it came through. It was like a little less so like when the Traveling Wilburys got together. You had these two. And then I thought to myself, well, what could you make a Highwaymen now? I mean, because Bob Dylan's kind of a bit of art. But what if it was Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Willie Nelson, and somebody else. I don't know who else would be out there.
What if it was Chris Stapleton, Luke Combs, you know,
Right,
current like
right.
star,
So Keith
uh,
Urban, uh,
uh,
yeah, even
Debussy,
George
whatever.
Strait, throw him in there, as the veteran. But so yeah, so it's a huge deal, and these guys obviously were the legends of legends. So such a huge deal. So and you just never get tired of listening to that. And I don't get tired of listening to the album either, because I think I went and listened to it again just to see like what else did they put out other than this song. So from there, went back to new, relatively new. Incubus has been around for a while, and again, and I guess it goes back, harkens back to what I said about Five Finger. It's one of these groups that you think is heavy metal, hardcore. They're coming at you, and then they come out with a song like this, something that's a little less, it's acoustic guitars. It's soft. It's introspective, and believe me, I did not make the connection until about 2 days ago. That was Highwaymen and then Drive. I was like, oh, I didn't even see that coming. So that's a connection. But I was like, oh, Highwaymen, Drive. So I enjoyed the song. I don't know much about Incubus. I've seen them a couple of times here and there on videos and stuff. But yeah, and I didn't expect this song. So again, it's like the Five Finger. They just have to dig a little sometimes to find some pretty decent songs.
This was I listened to this playlist a couple times, and it finally dawned on me that like this song it was one of my favorites on the playlist, but that I wasn't familiar with it, but yet the more I listened to it, it sunk in that I had heard the song or the song. Maybe is it one of the probably more popular songs or
Oh yeah.
something. But it's a way cool song. I liked it. Does Incubus? Maybe I'm getting confused with somebody else, but do they do some like covers of like Rush songs and stuff, or is that a different group?
I don't think that's
Somebody
them.
else?
No.
Okay, I probably messed that up. I was thinking it was somebody else, but no, they had a fresh sound. I like the song. Um, it went good. So like I said, I kept coming back to this song as one of my favorites on the list.
Yeah, I had when I heard I same thing you just said about the name. It's like when you hear Incubus, I'm totally thinking a different sound.
Oh.
Um, but I had heard of them just like Five Finger Death Punch, and probably didn't listen to them for the same reason. I'm like, what is this going to be? But this is cool. The harmonies were really really cool. I That's kind of my favorite part of it. And then boy, there was something else I was going to say. I can't remember, but I did when the first time I listened to it. I was thinking, did he pull out? What was the band you played that had um, guy from Soundgarden? My memories.
Audio Slave.
Obviously.
Yeah. Uh, oh, great. Here we go. Excuse me. I've had allergies. Um, the I was the singer to me sounded a little bit like Mike Patton. I think that's his name from Faith No More
Mhm.
and Mr. Bungle. If you're familiar with them, I think it's Mike Patton. I was not a big fan of theirs either, but so I was like, and I looked it up. No, not the same guy, but that's neither here nor there. I like the harmonies. So from there, harmonies for sure. We're in the H's still. No, we're in the I's. Indigo Girls. Okay, so there's a band that I didn't really like. Everything I heard, it was just kind of a yawn to me. It wasn't. It wasn't thing. Seriously, I really didn't like them. But they had one song that I heard before anything else that I think it's partly the message, something, but it just really resonated. And the arrangement, and it's called Watershed. And it's, right now I'm going to be 60 in a week from tomorrow. And, I am kind of it's probably there's a lot of people kind of introspective about like, how did I get here? Where am I going? What decisions have I made? That sort of thing. And this song is kind of like that, standing at a fork in the road, or you're on the watershed. You could go this way or that way. You're looking at a evidence of an old car wreck, and it's just it really it really, I hadn't, when I put this on, I wasn't thinking any of that. I was thinking, I can't think of an I band that I want. I don't really like, there's a bunch, I won't say them, but there's a few, but none of them they didn't do anything for me. And this just popped up at the last minute. I'm like, oh, okay. I like that one song by them. And I know they were very popular in the 90s amongst, well, probably a lot of people, particularly, you know, well, whatever. Anyway,
LGBTQ community. Is that
yeah,
what
I
you want to
wasn't
say,
exactly.
Mike?
I was gonna say Lilith Fair, but
Well,
yeah,
fair. Yeah.
but they're folksy and they're a couple. So yeah, and they definitely kind of like Melissa Etheridge. They really resonated at that time and probably still do. Um, but yeah, there's nothing else I can really say about them. I just yeah.
No, I like the choice. I think it was a great choice. I think Indigo Girls are kind of highly underrated for what they did and who they were and bringing that stuff to the forefront and having Lilith Fair, what, at least 3 or 4 years, right? Maybe even more, and bringing all these women together for, empowerment. And they were definitely a group that had an impact, whether they're popular or not, or the song. And I think the song is fantastic. I think it's probably the favorite song on the playlist for me, and I like it a lot. So, but yeah, I thought Indigo Girls don't get enough credit that they deserve for whatever reason. Now, you can talk to I think Robert, my brother, for what he saw quite a bit, so he's a big fan of theirs, and so yeah, I thought it was an excellent choice, and I think they will hopefully get to hear more of their music because I've heard some of their music and it's really good. So,
Yeah, and me saying that I don't like them. I'm not diminishing their talent. People I'm very close to like them. It's just my taste.
yeah, hey, we all have our taste.
I don't know much about him either, and I this is probably my second favorite song on the playlist too. So good job, Mike. Because after the Greta Van Fleet one, I think this is my second favorite song. And I mentioned this before that when you listen to our playlist, if Apple Music, we put them on there or whatever, but when you get to the end of the playlist, it just starts picking random songs, right? That maybe similar artist or whatever, but it'll maybe pick the same artist. And I found that it cycled through a couple Indigo Girls songs, and so I found myself listening to other Indigo Girls tunes, probably maybe 3 or 4 of them or something, and realizing I kind of like their sound and how they, their vibe and everything like that. And like Mike said, I probably didn't give them a second thought when they were popular coming out. I'm like, I don't want to listen to that. But I guess now that I've matured a little bit, I'm going to go back and listen to some more of them because they're, I think anyway, I liked them. I liked it a
Yeah,
lot.
they seem like a group right up your alley, Dave.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, they
The
do.
roach,
So,
if you like the Roaches, believe me, we all
I
love the
know,
Roaches.
right. Same kind of thing. I dig those kind of,
I
yeah,
know you
anyway.
do.
So from there though, it's like, okay, well, like you said, eyes were kind of one of the harder ones. We're going to get into some other letters that are going to be a little bit more challenging. And so right off the bat, it was going to be like, okay, I had 2 choices and they both had the word iron in them. Iron Maiden and Iron Butterfly. And I didn't want to go too hard and rock and do that, whatever. So this was my one opportunity to go, oh, here's that group Imagine Dragons. And again, I'm not a big Imagine Dragons fan, but I know 5 or 6 of their songs because they've been played on the radio so much. So I'm like, okay, let me just pick one of their songs that everyone knows, and this is the one I picked. I picked Believer, and thought, okay, this will be a good chance to put something. Again, we've never put any Imagine Dragons on, so it made it on a playlist, and that's what I can say about it. But it's not a bad song. They have talent, and this is one of their cool ones.
Yeah. So I only know 2 of their songs. This one, and I think, have we used the other one already? Thunder. Did we use
Right.
that?
Yeah, I think we did, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
Or it
No.
was thought about being used.
It did. It's
Maybe.
not made it
I know it
on.
came up at some point,
It must have come up.
but I guess we didn't use it. But yeah, those are the only two I know, and I definitely heard both of them a lot. The station that other members of my family listen to more on the radio than I do would play that stuff a lot, and particularly I don't want to pin him down if it was him, but somebody in my family really liked this song. It might have been my son, but no, I get it. I get it. It's yeah, it's kind of it
Not your
resonates
song.
with those guys, and it's all right. I don't want to badmouth it. It's a fine song.
Well, yeah. If you've ever been to a sporting event, you've heard this song. And invariably 90% of the teams that warm up will warm up to this song. You just hear it like, oh, we're gonna go to the volleyball. And of course, Believer comes on, and their other song, Thunder. Both those songs are those little motivational kind of before the sports thing, and of course, the NCAA uses it during their Final Four stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, like Dave said, it's got talent, it's got a hook, and believe me, you know who it is when they play it. I'm not, again, we're not going out rushing out to get Imagine Dragon or anything like that, but you know who it is, and they have talent, whether you like it or not. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm not going to go out and this isn't going to be top 5 Believer on my playlist, but yeah, it's a song, and it should be mentioned. I call it the surprise of the playlist because Dave. I mean, wait a minute, Dave's in the 2000s now. What happened? So.
Every now and then I might surprise, yeah.
That's why we love you. And then I went with a song, and this is the case of you sticking with a band that isn't really going after they lose their stuff, but yet there still has some songs that you like. And I've always liked James Gang, and for some reason James Gang was always one of my favorites. But of course, then they had Joe Walsh and Tommy Bolin, and but then this album came out, and none of those guys were on it. But this was an album with the guys that weren't on it. But I, for some reason, really liked that album and really liked the sound of it, and so that's one of the reasons why I put it on. Listen to Jay. Jays aren't the easiest to find around anywhere, so. And I really like the song, and I really like the message of the song. So I thought, it's something different. Again, it's one of those, and we all had those groups where you're like, man, they're horrible, but here I am buying their album. I just can't quit them. So that's why one of the reasons I put it on.
It wasn't surprising when you put it on. I'm thinking, oh yeah, Jose likes to go back to the roots and go back to that early '70s sound with the James Gang. I think he's played a few of their tunes before, and so I didn't know that it didn't have Joe Walsh, and it wasn't that version of the James Gang. So that's kind of interesting to note. But it's a cool song. Like I said, it has the everybody needs a hero kind of deal, and true, everyone needs a hero. But yeah, that whole genre was back. I think we talked about this before in that early '70s. Everyone was trying to do the Western James Gang, the Tumbleweed Connection, like Elton John, and Eagles had their thing, Desperado, and their different thing. Everyone was trying to kind of capture that, and James Gang probably did one of the best jobs of doing that with their sound. But I didn't know that Joe Walsh wasn't in this iteration of James Gang. How long did they play? I mean, how many years were they together?
I think they had 2 more albums after that. Well, Jay, he left after the first or the second, and then that Tommy Bolin, then he left. So I think there was 2 more after this one. So,
You said Tommy Bolin?
Yeah, Tommy Bolin, right?
He went on. You mentioned that he went on to front or was in the band Moxie.
Okay.
Or yeah. Anyway. Good. I can't say much more about it. It was good song.
That's all I have to say. We're losing him. So I had James Gang on my list for sure, but I'm only really familiar with the Joe Walsh years, which I guess, like you said, that's 1 or 2 records, and then he went solo. Then he went to the Eagles, and so yeah, I didn't know this, and this is one of those cases where it's like a band that I kind of didn't listen to, even though I liked them early on. Once a certain member left, like Crazy Horse did solo stuff. I mean, stuff without Neil Young. I've never listened to it because I always think it's just Neil Young, right? I think there's, well, whatever. I don't want to badmouth Crazy Horse. I'll just leave it at that. But the I was surprised. I had not heard this song. It reminds me a lot of Little Feat for some reason. And I know it's not just because Time Loves a Hero, and Hero and this, but yeah, it definitely reminded me of Little Feat, which is not the only reason I like it. I'm glad you put it on because um, I hadn't given the non Joe Walsh period um, much of a chance. And frankly, I think they had like 2 or 3 times as many records after he left than when he was with the band. And Tommy Bolin too. It's like I didn't really pay much attention to that either. And I know people talk about him and I should know more, but anyway. So, for Jay, I had a number of different things I could have gone with. I just decided to just go off in a direction. So there's a band, The Jam. Previously, I put a song on one of our playlists by a band called the Style Council. Style Council. They had that song about walls come tumbling down with the horns and everything.
Oh, right.
The singer for that band is the same singer for the Jam, which is his earlier band, Paul Weller. And if you're familiar at all with the earlier days of the Who, kind of the scene they came out of, mods and rockers, in London, they'd have these big fights or whatever, and the mods were on the scooters, and they had like the Target symbol. Like, have you ever seen a picture of Keith Moon early on? He has this target. Anyway, the Jam totally started out. They were not of that era. They were like, I think, following that era, the fans of that era with the Who and others. And actually, if you look at some of their early stuff, it has some of the same imagery, iconic, whatever, that the Who used early on. I think like that arrow, that circle with the arrow or whatever. Anyway, but so they had, I think, among like hardcore old school Jam fans, and I'm talking about people I knew in the '80s. They this had probably been kind of like, this is commercial. Their other stuff was raw, and really it was about fighting in subways or getting beat up by skinheads in subways and all kinds of stuff like that. A lot of different things, but this is definitely more slick and more produced. I think it was one of their last records before Weller left and what have you. And so I didn't actually, before we started compiling our individual lists to draw from to make the playlist, I had not heard this song. And I kind of went through, I'm like, what is this one? And I saw the criticism, like people, think it's, not being true to their roots. And I really liked it. It's like it's a working class guy coming home and is basically go home, turn on the TV, with a wife apparently, and go to bed and get up and do it all over again and not really make much money. And, the issues with England at the time, and still are. But I also, one thing I really like about it is this, we talk about hooks, the hook in a song. This one to me definitely has this where it's going along and then it suddenly jumps up to a different chord and like a next level up. And every time they do that, I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but anyway, that's me.
I think I fell into the trap with the Jam, but you see the name, you're like, the Jam. What does that sound like? And so you have these preconceived biases, but then when you listen to it, like that's not what I expected at all. So and I enjoyed the song a lot, and I think it was a great song and all, and I think it fit it right in with James Gang because everyone needs a hero. Sometimes people are just ordinary heroes. Uh, just with the 5 o'clock, it's one of those kind of songs. But I didn't expect this at all. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. So You know, I have to listen to it a little bit more to really get the, and listen to others to see what other jam songs sound like. So
Man, I thought the exact same thing when you put it on. I thought, okay, he's going with some kind of, funkadelic, Death Master Jam or something like that, or whatever. And it's like this English group, he has a way, Micah, you have a way of like surprising us with some of these English groups or British groups that I've never heard of, and this is another one where I'm like, I don't know, I've never heard of that, but it was a way cool song. And I don't know if you consciously said, I got a hero song following the James Gang song. I'm, you're better at that, I guess, at times than because I'm like, I wasn't thinking of that. I was just thinking, what can I come up with next? And um, uh, so we're, with on the on that side, I said so it's Jukebox Hero Foreigner could have done something like that. Um, if you let me it stretch a little bit, it could have done John Lennon Working Class Hero, another one. So you could have done Hero, Hero, Hero. David Bowie has heroes also. So there's some other hero songs. I don't think we can make a whole playlist out of it. But Mike was able to at least go back to back with the hero song. So you're my hero for doing that. Oh,
You
did
did
you ever
holding out for a
know that
hero.
you're my hero? What's that one? Bette Midler?
Yeah,
Yeah.
wind beneath my wings.
Yeah, there you go. That would
And
make
who was it who did that? I'm holding out for a hero. One of my most disliked
oh,
songs.
Kim Carnes.
Oh,
Something
see,
like
I think it sounds like her, but
it's not
is
Kim
it
Carnes,
Laura
but it is something
Branigan
like,
or it's
I'm holding
some?
on for a hero.
He's got to be tough and he's got to be fresh from a fight.
I'm glad you know the
Oh
rest of the
no,
lyrics.
that's to me that's. And I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but that's it's a total eclipse of the heart. I kind of lump those two together.
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's Kim Carnes, right?
No,
Yeah, I don't think it is.
No,
It's
that's
something like
who
that's
did
Laura
the
Branigan,
heart?
maybe.
Carol.
I don't know.
Hang on.
I need a hero.
Eddie Davis eyes? No, that's not it.
That's
That's
Kim
Kim
Carnes.
Carnes.
Bonnie Tyler.
Bonnie
Bonnie
Tyler.
Tyler. Turn around, bright eyes. Yeah, that one.
I need a
Okay,
hero.
holding out for a hero is.
Oh,
Oh, they're both Bonnie Tyler.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
there you
There's
go.
something. There you
that
go.
explains a lot.
Right.
Explains that we don't have her on our playlist.
So then we needed to play. I had to close it with a J, and you probably thought, oh, he's going Jethro Tull. Here it comes. Here it comes. Couldn't find a song I wanted to play, and because I had spent my 16-minute Terrapin song, I definitely tried to stay three and a half, minute. I tried to stay short with all the rest of my songs, so that influenced my decisions going forward. So I passed on like some other longer songs. But here I thought about putting on something by Journey just because I did Foreigner. Why not do Journey? They haven't made any of our playlists. But then it popped into my head. I thought Jackson 5. Well, we're doing ABCs, right? We're doing the whole ABC thing.
I didn't
So
make that.
this is where the connection comes in. I put on the Jackson 5 and we do the ABC thing, even though this is a medley of I guess 3 different songs, right? That they melded together that had a similar kind of thing to it. I'm trying to bring it up. Hang on. By the way, I'm looking on my phone because I had my playlist taped to the wall and it fell down behind my desk. So now I'm like, what's the next song? What is it? I gotta look on the. I use that as my cheat sheet to know when it's my turn,
Oh,
what's coming up.
yeah.
But I Want You Back, ABC, and what's the third part of that? The Love You
The
Say,
love, yeah, something like that. The love. Stop. It was like stop the love you.
or something like that.
Something
Anyway,
may be your own. Save. Yeah, love you. Save. You're right.
so anyway, I thought it was a good way to end the playlist with the ABC theme, and anytime we get some early Michael Jackson out there as well. So with the Jackson 5.
I went when I was a kid. I thought, I mean, like 5 or 6 when this stuff was out. I remember liking the stuff on the radio. And it was like one of those, my mom would be driving and be like, turn it up, turn it up. And then I kind of had a revival, you know, like in college. I'm like, I go through the Jackson 5, the early stuff, the little Michael Jackson stuff. And so, yeah, I like all these songs. The only beef I have with this, Dave, is you kind of got a three-fer there. And so it's like if I
Still
wanted
worth
to use
3
one of these
minutes.
songs,
It was
so
3 minutes, so.
yeah, but it's 3 songs. My point, and I
They
don't
don't
even care about
stop
that.
and say,
It's
now we're gonna do the next song. It
You
just.
owe me 2 songs.
just
Hey,
my main point about that
Terrapin's more
was
than one. Terrapin's a medley, you know.
Right. Terrapin should be at least 3 songs that we should get back.
but these were 3 songs released individually. And my own, and it's not even about the rules, whatever. I don't care. It's just I might have used one of these. I was saying to myself, man, I might have used one of those of my own. But you know what? If I'm really honest, I probably never would have put a Jackson 5 on. So this is the best. This is a great way to do it. There's a couple more out there. I'll be there. You know, a couple more of those back in the day.
I almost did. What's the one where he does like the moon? I mean the robot. I'm just a love machine, and I don't work for nobody. But you remember that one?
Yeah.
It's an early Jackson 5. I almost put that song on, you know, because that's one of their early iconic ones. But then I said, nah, I got to do ABCs. You know,
Dancing
and
Machine.
and I was just going to do just the ABC song, but it was like, meh, might as well do this one.
Yeah, they actually. I used to get those confused as they actually had both are songs by them. There's like dance, watch them get down, or whatever.
That's Dance Machine.
Yeah, but
I almost
the
put that
Love
one on
Machine
because that
too.
automatic, systematic. He's like on Soul Train, right? Right? He did that on.
It's bad enough that we even know the lyrics to it. So it tells you
Well,
how
see-
iconic it really was.
Oh
So-
wait, oh my gosh, no, Love Machine was not the Jacksons. It was the Miracles.
Oh, the miracle.
Yeah,
Really?
so you were all wrong there.
Yeah.
All right, it can
And
happen.
what was the song that they did? Because I pulled up a
Dancing
video and he
Machine,
was
maybe.
doing that. Was he doing that song?
Oh,
They
I
did
think he's
Dancing
doing Dancing
Machine.
Machine, right?
Yeah, that was the Jacksons.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dancing Machine.
Yeah, Dancing Machine.
Oh, I just confused the two then.
Yeah, that's all right.
Dancing
Yeah.
Machine.
Now, I have
Yeah.
no problem with the medley, although, like you said, Mike, you could throw a Genesis medley on there for 25 minutes on some of their live albums. Like, I got 3 songs. No, I enjoy it. In fact, it should be on there because we all know it was a part of our childhood. Jackson 5, they had their own show, they had their own cartoon. You know, they were so big even before Michael Jackson was big that, you know, we saw them on Saturday mornings. We knew who they were. We knew the songs. We can still sing the songs. So I thought it was a nice little choice. And it is nostalgic. It brings you back to your childhood when you watch like the Jackson 5, like they'd be on Sonny and Cher, or they'd be on Dean Martin or something like that. You know, and then they had their little, you know, choreography and group. So, and there was good music, and you could tell that they were highly talented. Obviously, Michael Jackson was talented, but they're highly talented. So yeah, I thought it was a great overall choice to kind of end it as we continue our journey through the alphabet. Like you said, some of the letters were a little tough to pick, but overall, I thought it wasn't bad.
I agree.
Yeah,
I look
No.
forward to continuing Alphabet Soup and
alphabet soup. That's what it
just
is.
keep
Yeah.
doing it, you know? Yep, it's a lot of
It's so-
fun.
yeah, it is fun because we just get to listen to so many new different songs, especially when we try to find certain groups with the letter, and then you find out how many letters or how little they have. So, any last comments, concerns, questions? Sound like I'm a heat lecture or not?
Is this going to be on the test?
Hey, did you take notes? No using AI. Kids have it so much easier. Okay, well, what are the next letters? Uh,
ALMNO.
oh, that shouldn't be too bad.
And O is gonna be, yeah, hard.
Fit some Osmonds on the O.
Oh,
There you go.
They used
Osmond.
to. They had their own show.
They
Did they have a
did.
cartoon?
They
show
did
as
have a
well?
cartoon. I'm pretty
I think
sure
in probably every I think the Partridge Family did one too, or maybe it was the Brady Bunch, but they had, and the Harlem Globetrotters would show up on all those shows.
Oh, well,
And
yeah.
then,
that-
like
our-
Scooby Doo,
guys
there'd be
are-
the Harlem Globetrotters at some point. So,
Then they went to Gilligan's Island.
Town Albert.
I forgot about the
No
Gilligan.
one brings up that, Albert, believe me. It's unfortunate.
Oh, I could go off on that. That's such a. All right. Anyway,
It's a shame because that was such a great show, so. But no one wants to talk about it.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
well, until next time, listen to the music, enjoy. Talk to y'all later.